I was on X yesterday and I saw a post about Akash Singh's wife. And if you don't know who he is, he's the co-host on the podcast Flagrant, which made popular by Andrew Schultz. Well, it turns out Akash's wife has her own podcast where she's out here saying some wild, degenerate stuff, fantasizing about other men's penis size, who she would sleep with if she had a hall pass, past hookups with Tinder dates, and a lot more. And on this channel, we talk a lot about how so many of these guys still choose to marry women like this. It blows our minds. We always ask, who are these men? Why are they marrying these women? Well, Akash is one of those men. And when I saw this, it reminded me actually of the time that Flagrant had Fresh and Fit on their show. And there's a clip I'm going to play for you where Akash gets up on his high horse and talking down to them and calling their podcast corny and all that. And I find that pretty ironic considering the content of his wife's podcast. I mean, maybe he would call his wife's podcast corny as well, although I have a feeling he wouldn't be bold enough to press her on it and try to change it. Wouldn't want to have some self-respecting boundaries. Otherwise, he would be, insecure, toxic, whatever. But whether he admits it or not, right, his wife is out of control. And he's clearly the beta bucks, and she makes sure that everyone knows it too. But before I play her podcast, I want us to first look at how Akash was criticizing Fresh and Fit, talking down to them in their show, just so you can get a better understanding of what's going on here. And then make sure you stick around to the end to see all of this because it's absurd. And also, throughout this entire video, I'm going to be interrupting more than I usually do because I'm sure if these guys see this video, they're going to get upset, try to get the video taken down, and abuse YouTube system like many other people have tried and failed to do to me. So I'm going to follow very strict fair use rules in this one so that we can make sure that doesn't happen.
What I find corny is my preference is not my women. Now, I thought it was I'm not dating my women, period, which is the corniest human being outside of a criminal to me, period. Those are your roots. Those women are reflected in your roots.
So Akash is here expressing his outrage that Fresh and Fit have stated their preference is to not date black women, something they've been very vocal about. Clearly, this upsets him. Let's see why he's so upset about this.
If you're saying, hey, I don't generally date them, but I have more space for it, even though I still think it's a little corny.
Akash only dates brown. Akash has been with one girl in his life who is his wife.
That's my wife. That's an Indian woman.
So this
that
is
was
like
important
loyal
to me.
through and through.
Okay. So apparently Akash only dates brown women, and only one woman for that matter, his now wife, who talks about other men she's been with on her podcast. So she was his first, apparently. Yikes.
And I understand it's not as important for y'all, but as an Indian, there's not a lot of us who are famous. So whether you like it or not, people are looking at you as a role model.
So he brings himself into it. He says, I'm an Indian. Not a lot of us are famous. Therefore, people see me and you guys as role models? Or was he saying the Indians look at Fresh and Fit as role models? I would say the first one makes more sense.
You guys have established yourselves as role models. From simps to pimps, which is another motto I find kind of corny, but I looked into what you guys are about. And a lot of the shit is just childish, which is fine if you want to be funny. We just talked about how doctors ain't shit for 45 minutes. We are not in any way life coaching. We are not in any way trying to help men outside of, hey, come have a laugh for a couple hours.
So Akash just got done saying he's a role model because so few Indians are famous. And it now seems he's walking that back and said, actually, we're just clowns who make people laugh. But where's the joke here, right? He seems to be very serious right now.
If you're going to paint yourself as life coaches and then say shit like, my preference is, which is honestly bullshit. It is, I don't want to date black girls. That's the way every black dude that white girls says it. I've dated black girls in my life. All right, bro. Who the fuck hasn't except me?
So he's mad that their preference is to not date black girls, and then somehow ties that back to him also not having dated black girls. Perhaps his preference is to also not date black girls and only Indians.
You know what I mean? Everybody gonna dabble in everything. It is the mentality that I have an issue with, and Alex is upset with the specific words, true, but underneath it, he's upset with the mentality. And a lot of stuff you guys say in general, I think, is stuff that's kind of childish.
Wait till Akash watches his wife's podcast. I wonder how he would describe that. I have a feeling he condones his wife talking about other men and the size of their penises on her show.
I saw a clip where you were like, oh, the nuclear family's falling apart. What do? I don't get married. Just don't get married. You actually trying to help men, or are you talking to incels who are 18 years old? That's some shit you say to college. I'm going to turn you from a simp to a pimp. All right, bro. Can we grow up? You guys are self-help. Hey, we're trying to help men. So either we're funny or help men and be real and be honest with yourselves and don't have an ego like, no, I have a preference. Be honest. Let's just be mature about what we feel. And part of that maturity is, yeah, it was a bad joke. I don't actually feel exactly that way.
So Akash gets triggered by Fresh and Fit's motto, their preference to not date black women, and by the fact that they present themselves as helping men, while also stating their own preferences. He sees that as a contradiction. He says, you can't claim to be life coaches and then say what he considers to be corny. So it seems like he's trying to make a distinction here. You can either be funny or you can be serious. But I don't really see what Akash is doing that's funny here, right? Where's the joke? Why are you claiming to be, I guess, a childish podcast and then trying to give an adult lesson, right? Pick one, right? According to his logic. He seems very serious. He seems triggered. Like, why are you taking yourself so seriously, bro? Why are you virtue signaling? Why are you morally posturing? I thought you were a clown here to make people laugh. I didn't think Flagrant was a serious podcast. Why are you being all serious? So you can see, like, it's just a weird thing he said. There's a contradiction there. But the bottom line is he's triggered. And I think deep down he knows his wife has a bit of a past. So in his mind, he's probably thinking, hey, everybody experiments. Everybody's been with a black woman, probably even my wife. So stop being corny. Stop appealing to incels, right? That's what he says. And keep in mind, people like Akash are quick to throw around labels that are meant to belittle and shame others, terms like incel and so on. So perhaps we should feel just as free to describe his wife in whatever way best fits what we're seeing. Anyway, let's play some of his wife's podcast. So his wife is this one on the right in the blue sweater who's going to be saying the crazy stuff. It's about 3 minutes, but listen to some of the clips. And keep in mind, this is only from about 2 to 3 of their podcasts. I'm sure there's much, much more. But thanks to AI, this really didn't take long to find and put together. So I didn't have to expose myself to too much of this brain rot.
Would y'all ever have an orgy together with your husbands?
Rhea, I'm actively trying to have an orgy because this couple is so good looking, and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines. And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband.
No, I kind of love it, but I'm like, us four? Okay, maybe.
I just know that Nav's dick is like at least 10 inches.
You would only be down for an orgy if we did it?
Thick. It's thick.
I'd only been down for an orgy if we do it above my in-laws, or we're not doing it at all.
So there, Akasha's wife is talking about the size of her friend's husband's penis and suggesting that it's at least 10 inches and it's thick. Very strange. Like, can you imagine your wife talking to her friend saying this? It's actually also weird for her friend, but she kind of plays it off like it isn't weird. But again, can you imagine, your wife talking to her friend and saying, yeah, I would like to do an orgy with you guys, especially since your husband, he's probably, really big and thick down there. And she's saying this publicly too. I actually can't believe this is real.
Wait, okay, I have 2 butthole stories. So one time I met this guy on Tinder. This was before Bumble or Hinge. Like, this was like in the OG days of the app. And this guy, he was like some, how do you say, half Asian, like baddie. Wasian. That's the word.
Wasian.
Yeah, Wasian. Actually in the Bay. That's when I was living in the Bay Area. And I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to hook up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my asshole was a little sore.
Oh my god.
And I remembered that I would like try to finger me in my asshole. I'm like, first of all, we were not on those like terms. But anyways, so that was non-consensual actually.
Yeah, so we can kind of make the assumption from what she said here that, before this Asian baddie or whatever, there were previous men that she likely had encounters with. But it's like here we have a wife talking about a strange man who touched her butthole. It's unbelievable. And now we also know that this woman here was Akash's first.
Can I also ask, what kind of porn do you watch when you use a vibrator?
Okay, not gonna lie, I don't watch porn while using a vibrator. What? I just think my imagination is vibration enough.
Wow. I actually have a lot of respect because I don't think I would be able to do that, number one. And number two, my OCD would never, in my intrusive thoughts, like it would keep getting
No,
interrupted.
I sometimes think of like my own husband while I'm like doing it.
Wait, that's kind of baller, but I
Yeah.
could never do that.
Yeah.
So there's like a trend of these women creating these podcasts and then just talking like this. It's just like it's disgusting. And so a lot of times men will get critiques for being the degens, being the ones who are like, sex obsessed or whatnot. But there is plenty of this out there. It seems like these women are trying to mimic the Call Her Daddy podcast. But the only difference here is both the women are already married, which is... So it's like here, Akasha's wife mentions that she could never do what her friend does, right? Which is to get off to the thought of her husband. And apparently, she needs to actually watch people, and could never even possibly imagine using her imagination, let alone bringing in her husband into her imagination.
I will say it again because I know there's going to be already like incel troll mother. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money and my money is my money. And look, have I only made $600 from content creating?
Wow, I went up $100 from last week.
But that's my money.
Wow, quite the childish podcast they've got here. And one thing Akash and his wife have in common is accusing people of being incels. And in this case, Akash's wife says, for the incels out there who have it backwards, the trolls and whatnot, just so you know, his money is our money and my money is my money. So right there, Akash is a stone cold beta bucks.
I never watched that show, but like he's on my hall pass list.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Chase Crawford, Jacob Elordi, Austin Butler, and who else?
Michael B. Jordan. I love a pretty boy, which is why I like Chase Crawford, Michael B. Jordan. They're all so pretty to look at.
Dean Thomas from the Harry Potter movies, which you haven't seen. We have to. Okay, for fall, Neha hasn't watched Harry Potter, so we have to go.
I'll come over. We could do a sleepover in Harry Potter.
And here his wife, again, talking about all the famous, handsome men that she would sleep with if she were given a hall pass, meaning if her husband, Akash, gave her the go-ahead. These are all the men that she would happily jump in bed with. She's got a list. I mean, how many guys did she just name off? Just very disrespectful. But hey, I'm sure Akash would gleefully defend his wife's right to talk about all the other men she would rather sleep with than him. This is a very classy woman here. If people who disagree with these two are incels, what does that make Akash?
I love that. Good on you,
Love
Olivia
that.
Jade. Like, yeah, get him fucking
Oh
going.
God.
But he's so tall. Like, it's just like, can you imagine like how big his dick must be?
Dude, no, but that's why she keeps going back.
That's why she keeps going back.
for seconds and thirds.
What do you think about Austin Butler though?
Okay, I have always loved him because I loved him when he was with Vanessa.
iCarly.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
Carly, Vanessa Ann Hudgens. Like, I loved him.
And yet again, his wife is fantasizing about other men who are not her husband and the size of their package downstairs. So that's really bad. That's really bad. When I first saw one clip on X, I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty off. And then I actually looked at the podcast, and I couldn't believe the things this woman was saying. I couldn't believe someone made her a wife. And then, we find out Akash never had a girlfriend before her. She was his first, and then it all made sense. She also made a TikTok during the election publicly belittling her husband for having Donald Trump on their podcast, which is weird because I thought their podcast was just about laughs. And having Trump on, that's a pretty serious thing to do. So someone tell all the podcasters out there that Akash thinks you can't be both serious and goofy on the same show. It's not allowed. But anyways, on TikTok, his wife was recording him and, saying, wow, good job, blaming him for promoting Trump. And then because of Trump, the stocks were going down. And that's what it was all about. And he's on there defending himself, saying, no, I didn't vote for him. And probably telling the truth, right? But here's the thing. Knowing this is the woman that he has at home, it makes a lot of sense why he was so triggered and reacted the way he did to Fresh and Fit. And it was likely his wife telling him to go in there and behave a certain way. And that was probably him posturing, for her, trying to be a social justice warrior for his feminist, degenerate wife. And honestly, those probably are his beliefs as well, not just hers. But it seems to me she's got this guy, by the you-know-what, and he's letting her get away with anything and everything. It's quite sad. And to all you guys out there, don't be like Akash. And this takes us back to the beginning. These are the men wifing up these women, right? Giving them the title of wife, providing for them 100%, but not getting what men typically would get in return for doing so. A lady, right? A classy woman, a respectful woman with morals. The behavior that, she's putting on, to be blunt, it's trashy, it's low class, and it's embarrassing to her husband. And it's like, look, you are clearly at this point in time, you're allowed to act this way. You are free to live in this way. But you don't get to put this stuff out publicly, right? And then be shielded from criticism. And that's what so many people don't get. Like, yes, women, they can dress scandalously, right? They can talk wild and carry themselves like, like strippers. But I get to call it what it is, right? You don't get to act like a stripper and then be shocked when someone calls you one. That's not how this works.